Thank you for joining me for chatting about Missing the Boat. And this movie reunites you with Kris Polaha. I'm curious, did you know he was on the project before you read the script?
I did not know he was on the project. When I first read the script, there was nobody else attached yet. I think they were speaking to Kris at the same time, but it wasn't until I had signed on. However, I will say, had I known, I would have turned it down immediately. No, no, I would have jumped in with both feet first.
So, what attracted you to the script first besides Italy and a cruise?
I mean, other than like you said, the fact that we were going to Italy, Greece, and Bulgaria to shoot, what a dream. I had never read this sort of script from Hallmark before. I got it and I called my agent and I was like, "This feels like a Meg Ryan '90s rom-com. It feels like a Sandra Bullock movie. Like, are we
Hmm.
gonna do this?" And he was like, "Yeah," and they're super stoked um, and I just like I couldn't believe that I was so lucky to be the one that got to do this script in particular.
Mm.
It is I just thought it stood out, and we had a writer director McLean Nelson who both wrote it and directed it. I had never worked with him before,
Mm.
but he just gets it. Like he gets that style of comedy. He's so particular, which
Hmm.
is both a challenge and a great thing because he knows exactly what he needs and how he needs it. And I feel like all of those pieces coming together like it did means that from reading it to finishing it was it was the same. It stayed the same movie. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you read a script and then you watch it and you're like, well, that's not what I thought we were making, you know.
Hmm.
But this it stayed true.
Well, like you said, he gets it. And I think that what I love about him specifically, because of course he just did the Hall Out the Holly series, is he
Right.
gets the comedy. And that I agree with you. Like when Hallmark Plus came out and they were announcing that it was literally home of the rom-coms, I kind of like took a step back for a second because I had this channel and had been playing with some trivia and rom-com trivia and trying to do some comparison because as I was watching movies, sometimes you do see other movies in it and so then I was kind of like, oh, I'm on the right path. I'm like, I'm so, and nothing made me happier than to see the word rom-com associated. And I think all of these ones in January knocked it out of the park. And this one, you're right, it is exactly like we talked with Kris earlier this week, and he was like, it everybody says it reminds them of some other movie. And I said, I think that's the best compliment you can get in a way, because that was a favorite for them to remember it too.
Yes. Oh, you're so right. I agree, and Chris is so right. Um, yeah, it makes me really happy. Anybody that I've talked to, and when I read it, and kind of like the word on set was like it felt like plane, trains, and automobiles,
Yes.
right? Are you with
Yeah.
me? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
it's. And then at the same time, like with the location and all of that, I was also so reminded of French Kiss. And I don't know where that, but maybe that was just the heat and the trains and having to like, I'm not sure, but there was something there too.
I agree with you. And actually, as somebody who's seen it, one of my favorite ones out of all of it, you had some amazing scenes, and I can't wait to hear your favorites. But I really loved the train. And I think it was because of how it was shot. It was brilliant dialogue back and forth. And I was just like, I seriously just sat there and like, how did McLean do this?
Yes, totally. We had several cool setups in that cart. We had the first one where it was just like a static shot on each of us, right? Sitting across from each
Hmm.
other. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we both Chris and I took screenshots of the shot because I loved that shot so much. Um and then what I loved was those are actually also some of my favorite scenes because
Oh,
they also, the first one is still we're still in that hectic place of like trying to figure it out. But then once we, progress in the train and now we're sitting next to each other, we are maybe for the first time like truly connecting, and it shows in how he set up the shot and all of that. Like, the shots were very in sync with where the characters were at in the story.
hmm.
Um, and um, and it was funny to just you rarely sit and talk to somebody like that. Like
Right.
it was an interesting thing to sit next to somebody and be that close to somebody that you're not like that close with yet.
Hmm.
But it brought the characters together, you know.
Since you didn't know that Kris was attached to it when you first read it, did when you found out he was attached, was there a different way that you approached your character of Kelly?
Um, no, only because I hadn't seen Kris do this kind of comedy before.
Okay.
Actually, not only because, but because one of the reasons was I didn't know what he was going to do.
Hmm.
You read a script and you see without having a face on it. I had my own thing in mind of what whoever was going to do, and then Kris came, and I was like, okay, this is going to be really interesting because
Hmm.
I think like I mean, he said it himself. He hasn't done this character before, and I'm so happy he did because he's so funny and he does it so well. So I was mostly just kind of like I was just ready to sit back and be like, I'm gonna go with what you're giving me because that's so much of comedy is about is the reactions. Um, and so I was just staying really open to the process and to seeing where he was going and then kind of finding where we would find each other in the middle.
Well, I you guys nailed it. Without giving too much away, but what would you hint would be your favorite comedic moment in this movie?
I think my favorite comedic scenes are for sure us dealing with first the port agent and second the rental car guy.
Hmm.
We love shooting those scenes. And fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but it's the same guy.
I thought it looked like the same guy.
Yeah, yeah. They were meant to be twins, and then McClane again, funny McClane, he's like, we're just gonna throw a mustache on him, and he's gonna be the same guy.
I couldn't remember if that was the one that was a cousin or because there was, there was a lot of familiarity with how people were helping you along the way in
Yes,
this movie.
yes. They were the cousins to the woman who helps us later on the train, and Italy. Everybody's
Yes.
apparently.
So part of Kelly's journey then is that work-life balance. So what else would you say that Kelly maybe learned from her experience in this movie?
Well, I think letting go of
Yeah.
absolute control. Yeah, yeah. And like letting her guard down enough to connect with another human being, and not just have to, because I think she felt like her way of connecting was guiding people all the time or telling them what was right and what was wrong, in her job. And that was her way of making people feel comfortable or making people feel like, okay, I can feel safe in this relationship. And suddenly she's just having to figure it out and across from this and now across from a human who is his back is out, so like we can't even
Hmm.
move properly, and I think that aspect allowed her to have to breathe and
Yes.
not be able to control everything.
I did tell Kris that I loved that his back was another character in this movie. So, I got to ask, how were the donkeys to work with?
Catherine, they say don't work with kids and animals. I say just don't work with donkeys.
How
Honestly,
many takes?
I don't even know. They just kept rolling because I think we stopped yelling cut in action because there was no point because that donkey was going to do what that donkey did. Uh, and
Yeah.
and then we have a scene where we're riding the donkeys,
Mhm.
obviously, and we had a drone, which is like a flying camera over top of us. And they forgot to tell us that my donkey was terrified of drones. So anytime it came remotely close, it just like starts taking off down this hill with a drop off 2 meters to my left. And I was like, I have no control of this donkey. And I just I just hung on for dear life and I just kept yelling, get that drone away from us! Get that drone away! And nobody
I
could
did
hear us because they were all so far away. It was a movie in itself.
I will say I kind of thought it was interesting that Kris's character got a carrot, but your character didn't to help lead the donkey from going astray.
I think it was mostly just because I couldn't control the donkey and the carrot.
I will say the writing on this one with the heart to hearts were definitely a lot more in depth, which I absolutely loved. Like that conversation. Number one, the scene with the how they shot it with the drone at the table when you guys are at the hotel. But
Yeah.
that heart to heart just had its own way of kind of reaching in that I wasn't expecting. I told Kris one of the lines that stood out to me was just being afraid of being in pain again. And you really don't hear that real life conversation. So I thought that the Berg it's are Sandra and Judith, if I'm not mistaken, for the Berg sisters that wrote it with McLean.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
They did such a great job.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear it. It always, you never know how things are going to land, and you're right. It did take some deeper turns, which I'm grateful for, and I'm so grateful you feel the same.
Because of the work life balance, and then you have a small family, were they able to come with you on set?
No, this time we
Mm.
kept the family at home because I knew that this was grueling in terms of the travel. I mean, we were in Bulgaria for a while, but then we just darted every 1 to 2 days. We were in new locations, and the thought of having to pack kids up for that kind of thing, they're two
Yeah,
and five, so
right.
they got to stay home with dad, and I got to just focus. And like dad said, he was like, "This is not work, Emilia. This is a vacation. So go enjoy Italy for all of us."
Yeah. So based on that, for going through Italy, if somebody only had, I'm going to say like 6 hours to walk the streets, what would you suggest they make sure that they're eating?
Oh, well, all of the pasta and all of the pizza. You know what's crazy is I'm vegan, so I don't eat meat or dairy. But you can still do, like, I still enjoy all of the things in Italy. But I would
Mhm.
say if you're not like me, the cacio e pepe, if you're in Rome, you gotta have. It's the best cheese and pasta and all the delights. And then, I mean, their pizzas, you know. And for me, if you're gonna have one without meat, I would say that the something alla norma. I forgot the first word, but it's like an eggplant with tomato sauce and these beautiful little like almost dumpling like pastas. It's so good.
What is a rom-com that you can watch on repeat?
Honestly, any Sandra Bullock movie I can watch on repeat. Um, I can watch most Julia Roberts movies on repeat too. Uh, yeah, I think more than for me, it's more about the actor that I love so much than the
Mhm.
movie because I don't even like I just zero in on them and their brilliance, and so I think that's what stays true for me more than like the movie. Does that make sense?
Nope, that totally makes sense. I For me, like one of my absolute favorites is While You Were Sleeping. And well, it is I love Sandra Bullock. For me, it was the supporting cast in that too.
They were all
Their,
phenomenal.
their own stories and the multi-generational, like there was just yeah, there's just something about having you're surrounded by a great supporting cast too.
Yeah.
And their stories had their own life to them, which I absolutely loved. So yeah, we just got so much from this, and I was so excited to watch it and can't wait to rewatch it on Saturday.
Oh, I'm so glad. We loved it. And like you said, you know what else I loved about this is that there was a strong B plot, which
Mm-hmm.
we Trey Warner and Amy Pemberton, who are phenomenal actors and great humans, they got to have an actual storyline that you also
Yeah.
get invested in, and it serves Parker's storyline and therefore Kelly's as well. But like it was so refreshing to be like, oh right, there's a whole nother thing happening as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then how was I gotta ask the cruise, that cruise ship. So I've never seen anything with such big space. I was like, sign me up for this cruise.
Really?
Yeah, I've only been on like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian, and they're not the biggest.
Right, right, right,
So,
right.
but even like in the hallways, I was like, this ship is nice. So, how much time did you guys get to actually spend on it?
You know what's crazy is most of that is movie magic.
I figured, but
Yeah.
it was
So
still
yeah, because we actually only did one overnight on the cruise ship.
okay.
One, two, no, just one. So we shot like anything that was exterior ship was
Mm-hmm.
obviously real life ship, but like the restaurants, all of that was movie magic shot somewhere else. Shh.
Darn it, I'll keep that out.
I
But
know,
I was like, sign me up for that ship.
I know, I know. If that's what it goes for, then I would be there too.
So let's talk really quick about favorite tropes to play or watch.
Favorite what?
Favorite tropes, rom-com tropes.
Yes, like specific movies.
You well, just for you, like what do you like to play? Like when you see it in a script, you're so excited about that, or what
Oh,
you like to watch.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to play and watch anything where like they're completely confused and baffled and can't like figure out right upside up from down, you know? Like I'm trying to see if I can think of a scene in our movie that was like that. Um, which I can't right now, but anything where I get to be confused, maybe because I go through much of life like that, I'm not sure, but
Well,
I
there's
like
the
it.
comedy.
Yeah, it's the comedy. And then also misunderstandings, like where either it's like gets super awkward or you're just like completely missing each other. Like somebody's just going off on this whole plan and the other person knows something that this one doesn't know and how do we, get through that? Like one of my favorite moments too was like it's so short, but when we first miss the boat and we're running and we see it out in the distance and then I turn around and Kris is on the ground and I'm like, why are we lying down? You know? Like those kinds of moments. And then he's like, cause my back is out. And you're like, oh my God, you know?
Yes.
But those are
Uh,
some cute little beats.
well, and I'm gonna end it on a really quick one. Well, hopefully quick. I one of my favorite of yours is Winter Ice Castle.
Oh, yay.
And so I just have to ask, how was that filming in an ice castle, even as it was melting around you?
You knew that. You knew that already. It was
Hmm.
crazy. I mean, I've never, first of all, I've never been that cold before, which is not, I'm not good at cold. Sorry, Minnesota. But it was so beautiful. But also, like I said, it was like it was literally melting around us. We would be shooting and we would hear a crack and we'd be like, should we keep going or should we run for
Yeah.
our lives? But it turned out so well. Yeah.
It's definitely huge Kevin McGarry fan, and it is definitely one that I know all of my friends watch on repeat, and it's not just for him.
Okay, tell me why. I'm so curious because I know so many people love it. And yes, Kevin, swoon. But what about that one specifically hits home?
I think it's number one, it was such a different location that hadn't been done before.
Hmm,
So, and
that's fair.
we do, Pete says we do have to wrap it up, but I think that was honestly one of the top reasons. It was just something we hadn't experienced.
Yeah,
And you knew you guys were in it at the moment too.
yes, there was no faking that.
Right. Well, thank you for spending this time with me.
You're so welcome, Catherine. I'm so happy I got to see you and know you and talk to you.